the students need to see and know that you love what you're doing. You're passionate about what you're doing. So they need to see that you're excited, you're joyful. You're going to have bad days, but overall, you want to be there. And if they know that, that's ingredient number one, I think, is I'm here because I want to be here.
Welcome to Hallway Conversations. We are a group of educators who have plenty of questions about teaching and learning and school culture, and we believe in the value of reflection and collaboration as we seek to keep growing as teachers. This podcast is our place for thinking out loud together about issues in education and why they might matter to Christian educators. We're glad you're with us. Welcome to the conversation. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hallway Conversations. My name is Dave Mulder.
I'm Abby DeGroat.
And thank you for joining us in the hallway for another conversation. We had an interesting idea. I think it was an interesting idea for a podcast episode. Abby, I'll set you up for it because it was your class.
Yes. Okay. So every year in my senior applied ed psych class, I like to get several guest speakers in to give students a little bit of an idea of a real world classroom before they go into their student teaching.
I mean, expert teachers, people who've been doing this for a long time, and they can speak from the joys and concerns.
And are in it every day.
That's right.
Right. So I have experience, but it's been a while since that's been my everyday life.
Yeah, that's right.
So like to get people in. Anyways, so my good friend Katie teaches at Western Christian High School down the road from us. Yeah. And I've known her for a long time. And
you guys go way back.
We do. Yeah. And so she's still a teacher there. My daughter gets to have her next semester, which is super fun.
That's cool.
And so she's awesome at building relationships with students. Always has been. Yeah. And so who better to talk to my applied ed psych class about classroom management?
Right.
And so they had generated some questions earlier in the module that we asked, and then I had some that we asked as well, and then we invited her in, and we recorded the live conversation with my class.
That was so good.
Yeah, it was. And they also asked her some questions, which I loved at the end, and we got to hear her answers. Yeah,
it was awesome. Yeah. So, friends, we're so glad that you're joining us for this episode, and I'm just going to play the class meeting, and so you get to hear Abby interviewing her friend Katie.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Well, hey, good morning, afternoon. We have a special guest in 336 and 7 today, so I'm going to introduce her, and then I'm going to let her talk about herself a little bit as well. So I've known Katie, I counted, I think it's 32 years. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that'd be about right.
Like I asked my kids today, when do you start Western basketball camp? And I did the math, and I think we've known each other for 32 years. So she and I roomed together in college for a little while, and then we taught together for 11 years at Western Christian High School. And I'm really excited to have her here talk to you all about classroom management today, and to have her answer some of the questions that I've crafted, and also I took from your questions that you asked at the beginning of this module. So we've spent a few weeks talking about classroom management, and I feel like this is a great way to kind of bring in someone who's in it every single day with high school students. And I'm going to let her introduce her role at Western and maybe anything else she wants to add.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Yeah. First of all, this just gets me excited to spend time with Abby, of course, but also to talk to future educators about something that I love. So thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for being an audience today. I'm in my, 21st year, I believe, at Western. Started there right out of college and have stayed there. So I've had differing roles throughout those 21 years. I currently teach PE Health for freshmen and sophomores, so I get a fun mix of the PE world and the classroom world, as well as family relations class. So I see freshmen through seniors also, so a variety there.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay, well, I am really interested, first of all, we've kind of talked about how there is nothing that can prepare you for every scenario. So I like to tell the story of, I don't know if you remember this, but when a student put another student in a garbage can and rolled them down sophomore hall. Do you remember that?
I absolutely do.
So we were teaching together when that happened, and there is nothing that could have prepared me for that single scenario, right, of management. You cannot predict the things that you will encounter, but there are some general principles and ingredients for teachers to have well-run classes. So if you could like name some of those, what do you think are some of the most important ingredients for teachers to have well-run classrooms and good relationships with students?
Yeah. And this list could be look different for everybody depending on your strengths, I think. Don't try and be someone who you aren't. But
Yeah.
I would say for me, the students need to see and know that you love what you're doing. You're passionate about what you're doing. So they need to see that you're excited, you're joyful. Yeah, you're going to have bad days, but overall, you want to be there. And if they know that, that's ingredient number one, I think, is I'm here because I want to be here. And you're here for them because you love them and you want to see them grow and flourish as students. I would say another, in terms of classroom management, is obviously build relationships, and that's just taking the time to get to know them, whether it's the first 3 minutes of class, whether it's break time, whether it's after. And it doesn't have to be these deep conversations, but just asking them a few questions about their weekend, their Thanksgiving break, whatever that can look like. Goes a long ways. When you think it's just a simple thing, I think it's pretty meaningful. High school kids, and especially elementary, like that's a given. They think their teachers are heroes. But in high school, they do want to make relationships with their teachers as much as you might think otherwise.
And to be known.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To be seen, to be known.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. And then just the day-to-day, pack your lesson full, overplan. I would rather have to decide what to skip rather than, oh man, we're done 7 minutes early, and what are they going to come up with, right?
Yeah.
Like that's when they get creative, when they're not busy, and then that's when we have the trash cans rolling down the hallway, or whatever that might look like. So,
which, to be fair, was during lunch.
It was, yeah, not during class, but pack it full, and like I said, overplan. Have a good, maybe you talk about hooks, maybe that's an old term, I don't know, but get them engaged. And whether it's something interesting or whether they're actually involved in that intro, they have input in it somehow, is awesome. And then the lesson itself is relevant, it's engaging.
Yeah, active.
Active, most definitely. And then you have some type of, okay, how can I use this, right? They want to see, or you want them to see the value. So some type of, whether it's a exit ticket or whatever that looks like. But what did I learn today? What do I still have questions about? But also in health class, I have a great opportunity, and family relations, to how can I use this in my life? Whether it's, we're talking about addiction right now, and how many kids, high school kids, have been impacted. It's amazing. Well, right there, they know, maybe this is something worth talking about.
Right. Do you see that play out in classrooms at the high school level, the relationship between pedagogy and classroom behavior?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is like a one-to-one correlation right there of how you instruct, direct impact on student engagement. And then, of course, direct impact of, boy, they have a lot of classroom management issues. Well, what does this look like for you, you know? And
I think, like, the instruction could be the low-hanging fruit there.
Yep.
For improving
Yep.
classroom management.
Yep.
Right? Let's improve the lesson first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And teaching's hard work.
It is.
If you're doing it well, you're tired at the end of the day. And that's great. That means you're doing your job. And hopefully it's not tired because you were managing a class all day. You're tired because you were actively teaching, whether that's walking around the room, whether that's asking questions, whether that's getting feedback. Well, you know, it could look a million different ways, but good teaching isn't sitting at your desk.
Right. And it's way more fun
to
be that kind of tired than it is to be putting out fires because you didn't plan well.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a lot more fun. What advice would you give first-year teachers? when thinking about management. I think back sometimes to my first year, right? We've talked about this as a class, right? That things that I would do differently or that I had to survive. Or I saw one of my former students last night taking tickets at the game, and we had a good reminiscent moment about his freshman English class, right? But what advice would you give
Yeah,
first
sometimes
year
it's
teachers?
good, like, we don't remember a lot of those things. But I would say just remember that, like, you're the leader in the room, right? You command that space. Having expectations is so important. Clear, consistent expectations. It doesn't have to be a laundry list, because then that's more rules is more management. Like, you're going to get tired trying to check all the, like,
and we talked about, like, they're going to get real creative about going around all of those rules.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So pick your top 3, top 5, whatever that looks like. Be clear about them, be consistent, and follow through. And because as soon as they notice you're giving them an inch, that's when they'll keep towing that line further and further. So I think that's really important. And sometimes you just need to be the bad guy. But then they know real quick. It's easier to, I would say, loosen up or lessen those, not lessen the expectations, but become a little bit more loose rather than, ooh, I've lost this group and now I got to try and get them back. That's really, really tricky. So I think that would be my advice. First year teacher, you're what, 21? Is that about right? 22?
21, 2. Yeah.
And especially high school, they're going to try and be buddy-buddy. Like, that's just who teenagers are. And that's great, you want to get to know them, but also maintain that authority figure, too, is important.
It gets easier as you get older.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just even the distance
Yep.
between the student's age and your age, I think, makes a difference. You talked about this a little bit, but it's clear to me, even from this conversation, but also because I know you and have taught with you, that you love working with teenagers. And so what is it about the students that you love about your job, and how do you capitalize on that to be an effective teacher?
Yeah. Teenagers are curious. They're capable of a lot more than what we probably give them credit for.
Agree.
If you're just asking the right questions or, just building that relationship, they can come up with some pretty incredible things. I admire their creativity. One, because I am probably the least creative person out there, so I run with it. I love it. I love their knowledge about technology that I also don't have. So I'm asking them questions a lot, like how do I do this? How do I fix this? Whether it's personal or school stuff. And they enjoy life. They're at a point, they're very social. That's the phase they're in, right? Is to be super social. Capitalize on that. With you, but also with kids, with group work, whatever that looks like. We do a ton of elbow show, like table talk, right? They want to be social, let them be social. And oftentimes those conversations that they have, if done well, can be a lot more meaningful than anything I probably have to say.
Yeah, and that's who they are. So why would we not work with that rather than against it, right?
It's not all about, a quiet classroom for me isn't a good thing.
I would much rather have a noisy classroom than a quiet
and they're
one.
probably disengaged. I guess maybe that's just my teaching style is I am going to ask questions and I want feedback, right? So that type of noise, but also we'll even take assessments that are partner, and they'll have to think about some critical thinking question. I can't come up with one off the top of my head, but as I'm walking around the room, the conversations that they're having is like, wow. Either they picked up on what we were talking about, or they might learn something about each other that they didn't know before that could even be quite personal or whatever that looks like. I've just found that to be amazing.
Yeah. And I think it's easier for students to disengage in a quiet classroom than it is if you have structured talking times.
Yep.
Because if they're at a table and I say, talk about this question, it's pretty hard to let everybody else talk and then just not engage well.
Yep.
Right? It's with your peers.
Yep.
And so it almost forces thinking in a way that sitting and listening can't do.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think if you've created, I hope at least, like a safe space, this classroom is a safe space where you can do that well. And I try and limit the cold call, right? But usually if I've talked to Abby about it, I've talked about it to one person, right? And she thought, oh yeah, okay. Then if teacher asks for, anybody want to tell me what you were thinking? They're far more willing once they've talked to a peer first.
And you all have maybe seen me do this, but when I walk around and listen to your conversations, I'll say, hey, that was really good. Would you mind sharing that with the group? Or I'll say, hey, Cooper was talking about this. Cooper, you want to share what you said to your group? It's just a lot easier.
Right.
And I've never had a student turn me down when they said that, because I've already kind of talked to them about it. They've had a rehearsal, and it's a way to get student engagement.
Yeah, and it's affirming them.
It is.
We probably don't do that enough. That was really cool. Can you share that?
Yeah. Students like specifics, and so I'm going to ask you a specifics question. Yeah. What are some specific examples of strategies that you would use to redirect off-task behavior?
Yeah.
Because students never get off task.
Never. Never. Sometimes I think it's like the mom look, right? Of like, I just need to look at them. And they're like, oh, yep, okay. I don't know if that's something you develop over time.
I think so. I think that's a skill.
It's like, oh, she means business. Okay.
Next week we should practice.
Yeah.
We will. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Other than that, I think proximity is huge. Walk around the room. So if I notice kids are probably off task, I'm going to walk towards them. And naturally, she knows, she sees, we're going to get back to what we're doing. And even just, hey, that's enough. Let's stay on task, or whatever that looks like. If it's something that, if Johnny in the corner over there just can't shut it down, then it might be something where, hey, Johnny, we're ready. Whenever you are. Maybe that's putting him on the spot, but we're ready. When you're ready, then we'll move on. And usually that social pressure is, oh yeah, I got it.
And not in a adversarial way. No. Just kind of, hey, here we are.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I also pulled some of your questions that you all gave up at the beginning of the module when you answered that Google survey. And so I pulled a few that I'm going to ask Katie here as well. So one of them is kind of about strategies, but what are some other strategies that could be used across the board, maybe for both elementary and middle schoolers? So I have a few elementary people in here, and I know you teach high school, but thinking about elementary, middle as well, can you think of anything that might be different for that age group?
I don't know about different. I mean, the language is different. I just know I've spent some time in elementary classrooms just in various roles. But in hearing my own kids talk about their teachers and what they appreciate is, once again, clear expectations. They get so frustrated when it's so loud in our room, or so-and-so won't quit talking, and they get frustrated with that. So they appreciate a teacher who, from the get-go, this is what this is going to look like, and everybody benefits from that. Because if a teacher's always trying to spend their energy, right, on the oily wheel that's making all the noise, the others are sitting there probably not getting whatever learning instruction, whatever that needs to be done. to say that's different than high school, probably not. But I think there you have to be more hands-on with it because the energy level is a little bit.
And it can kind of go off the rails.
Absolutely.
Yep. This is a good question that I've had several times. I imagine you do too. How do we handle it when a student is being inappropriate for school, but also funny?
I read
like,
this.
How do you either stifle a laugh or like how do you handle it?
Like I unless it's like extremely whoa, like hey, you crossed the line.
Yeah.
We don't do that here, right?
Right.
I will probably laugh. And then I might say, hey, I'll admit that was really funny, but maybe that wasn't the time and place. Because I'll ask them, do you think it distracted? Right? Well, yeah, and get them to maybe identify that I appreciate humor. It's wonderful. That's why I like teenagers, but there is a time and place for it, and during a lesson or during a class, beginning a class, and when there's a little bit more freedom. But in the moment, I do want them to recognize, like, we're human. We're not, like, teachers are people, and we laugh.
It can boost a lesson if someone makes a crack in the middle that's funny but on point.
Right.
It's really hard to shut that down.
So the inappropriate piece, I don't know if you mean like inappropriate, like, ooh, we shouldn't say that, or just it wasn't the time or fitting. But no, humor's wonderful.
Yeah.
If appropriate.
Appropriate.
But then I'd address it after class. Kids don't love to be called out during, unless it's super, needs to be addressed right now. Talk about it after.
Yeah. I didn't include this on the sheet, but have you ever had it where students either say something hurtful to each other or like maybe they are in a fight with each other or not working well together? How do you handle student-to-student conflicts, or have you ever had to?
I can't say I've had a ton of that. If so, it's something I would probably say, hey, none of that right now. We're going to talk after class. Let's figure it out. And then I don't think that's the time and place to, why does Johnny have a problem with Joey? That's just not the time and place. But in the moment, hopefully, you just say, that's enough. And then we need to move on. But I haven't had that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so then afterwards having that conversation.
Right.
And giving them a spot.
Right. And maybe there's great context where there was something said that totally was, he had reason to be really upset or something. And then we talk through that.
And get to the bottom of it.
Yep.
Okay. What questions do you have for Katie while she's here?
I'm Logan. I want to be a high school history teacher. And one question I have is, what is a specific instance where you thought you were making a good classroom management move, maybe in your mind, but it either totally backfired or in hindsight you could have done something better?
Wow. I would say this will happen occasionally, and it's not major, but I will move students around the room because so-and-so can't stop talking to each other, right? Or whatever that looks like. And you make a move, and it's either you find out, like, they have beef with each other, or sometimes it's like they were boyfriend and girlfriend and they broke up, and I'm like, I don't know that. And so then everyone's laughing, right? And I'm like, what did I just do? I don't know what I just did. So just simple things like, not anything major, but there's just little moves that I've in class adjustments that maybe were like, yep, learned the hard way that didn't work. Every once in a while, I'd say it happens where you call out a kid just because you weren't thinking, and then they either start bantering back. Never encounter.
You're never gonna
shut
win.
That down.
Yeah.
Shut it down. It never goes well. But you get caught up in it every once in a while, they'll come back with something and you're ready to like come back. No, shut it down. So that could be maybe one, too, where I've been guilty of doing that a little bit.
Yeah. And I would say, too, not being curious enough about a situation and reacting out of the moment, which is human, too. But why is this happening? Why is this student doing ABC? And figuring that out instead of just reacting and shutting it down, right? I think I've come down a little hard because I wasn't curious enough.
And one thing I've learned there, too, is if you apologize as a teacher, whether it's, hey, guys, I did not handle that situation well, whether it's one-on-one or to an entire class, or like a lesson I didn't explain it well, right? Or it was just a dead one. I didn't bring my A game. The next day I'll be like, I'm sorry.
Or that took you way longer than it should have. I'm sorry. Right?
And right there, like, they're in. They're in. Because you acknowledge that you're not perfect. I think that's super valuable, too.
It is. Good. Thanks, Logan.
Okay, my name's Ada, and I'm going to be a high school math or science teacher. So I really love developing relationships with teenagers, and like that's a big reason why I want to be a teacher. How, like you mentioned, like not being friends with them. Like how do you toe that line by like you want to get to know them, but you like I don't know, you don't want to have a friendship with them, like maintaining that.
You want to keep it a professional relationship.
And there's no cookie cutter answer to that one either. But I would say in today's world, like, not that you need to shut down your social media, but make it very secure, for lack of a better word. I don't know.
And boring.
Absolutely. I don't think I've posted I think since my youngest she's 5, right? So 5 years. Not to say you can't, but like I have students right now who if you guys observe they're gonna be checking your Instagram or searching, and then they'll come and they'll know your parents' names and that you are a cowboy sometimes and you're a football.
And they will use it.
It's amazing. So keep that shut down as much as you can, which you probably all know that already.
Or be very thoughtful about it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then I would say, ask them school-related questions or general, how was your Thanksgiving break, right? And if they come back, how was yours? Just, I think, be very mindful of you're talking to a teenager who wants to know more than anything. They want to know about your social life. And are you dating? Are you, like, that's what they're going to, and I think they'll know right away if you say, you don't need to know, or whatever that looks like, and they'll give up. But
and just be thoughtful and be intentional about, like, think through ahead of time what you're going to share and when and how much. And they will also not be shy about.
No, it'll be what'd you do this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, who'd you go with? Well, what'd you do? Okay, here we are. For me, they don't care anymore because it's like I was home with my family and we watched a movie. Wow, thrilling. But for you guys, that's very different as, first-year teachers, and you're a lot more fun than we are. So
It's true.
I would agree. Have that thought through. I mean, not in a weird way, but just like, I went with some friends and we did this, and leave it at that. And then maybe ask them a question and, all right, well, I got some stuff to do, try and move it on.
But I'd say the social media thing, too, and online presence and phone numbers, those are all things you need to be very clear about. Look at your school's policies about. It can get messy quickly if you are not intentional. And so be intentional, know what your school's policy is, follow it, know that. Yeah.
Well, I'm Riley. I want to be a high school English teacher. In your experience with high schoolers, would you say that a lot of your classroom management techniques can be generalized for all the classes you have, or is it a lot more specific for different classes? And then how do you manage that from year to year?
Yeah, good question. I would say For me, it's pretty general across the board. There might be from a freshman class to a senior class, some difference there where freshmen, they're essentially 8th graders coming in, right? Like the maturity level just isn't there all the
I
time.
laugh because I have a freshman daughter.
Yeah. I get her next semester. I can't wait. Where seniors then, they're essentially an adult, right? So
There's a huge developmental
Huge.
gap. Like, I don't think we can overstate the developmental gap between freshmen and seniors
Yep.
in high school.
Yep.
It is
And yet
big.
some seniors are lagging
Yeah.
too in that area. But you recognize that pretty quickly, right? And usually they respond well then to like, dude, yeah. Act your age, not your shoe size, right? But I would say generally speaking, it's pretty general. Now I've only taught, I haven't taught an English class but when you talk about teaching strategies and all that stuff, it's pretty, the same across the board. It's more the age level where I see the difference and where I might have to tighten it up a little bit with younger grades.
Yeah, and sometimes there's just combination or chemistries in certain classes that do kind of, like, if it's really quiet and no one wants to talk, I might have to use a different strategy to get them talking in small groups because they're not going to do it on their own quite as naturally.
Yep.
Right? So linking that to pedagogy as well a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in high school, there's beauty in, maybe this doesn't happen in every high school, but if we know that there's a few kids that, boy, when they're together, watch out, their strategy, well, let's put them in different sections, right? And we can have those conversations too to help. And elementary, like, sorry guys, you're stuck with that group. But we can divide and conquer that way a little bit too. We're just more aware and can kind of be strategic about some of that stuff. But Abby's right. There's little tweaks you might have to make, and you just find that out as you go.
Yeah. Good question.
Hi.
I'm Abby Grace, and I'm going to be an art teacher. And sometimes I am concerned about the discrepancy between the expectations that are had in other classes and in like an art classroom. I think the same would apply to high school teachers who only have one subject, except that art teachers only see the kids like once a week or so, And so I wonder, how do you collaborate with other teachers to make sure that your expectations are somewhat consistent or that kids aren't confused or, I don't know, just that you're supporting each other?
Yeah, that's another good question. I think just having hallway conversations, right? Like, oftentimes, like, we have lunchtime conversations because that's where we have some time where we're not in charge of a classroom, where we come together and like, hey, I got this going on. Got any advice? And it's awesome. So lean on your colleagues, especially those who maybe are more seasoned, because you're not going to get everything right the first time. That's how you learn. So I would say ask questions, and if you're struggling, admit that and ask what can we do? What can I do? I think that's a great first step.
Yeah, and I think too, observing, if you have a prep period, go watch an English class or invite someone who has a prep period to come watch your class and say, what do you see? What can I gain from? And even your professional observations, if you have them with a principal or with a curriculum director, think of things to ask and to learn and to be observed through. I think I've learned the most through colleagues.
Yep.
Professionally than any sort of speaker situation, right? Like just sitting down in my room and like having a conversation. I used to teach next to a very seasoned teacher, and I would just leave my door open during my prep period and just listen, right? And so things like that, yeah.
Yep. I think, you mentioned the observation piece. I wish we had more opportunities to do that. We maybe have once a year, and I often try and pick a teacher who teaches the most different than I do. Just like, what does this look like? And what could I, but also being observed, as intimidating as that seems, that's how you grow, and if you're humble, right? Like I'm open. What can I do differently here? That's how you learn.
Yeah.
I'm Sophia. I'm wondering if you guys have any advice on balancing academic rigor with the emotions that middle schoolers have and high schoolers have. I work with a student now who just seems like totally blocked with emotions, and there's no way of getting through to get any academics done, and both are really important. So I just don't know how to balance and like work through that with them.
It's a great question.
Wow. One, I guess, resource, like we have a school social worker, right, that I lean on heavily because I can't be just with one student when you have, is that what you're seeing, or?
And you're in a special education room.
I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a little more one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The time that I'm spending with this student is during the social emotional learning time, though. That's on
Okay.
Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So it's with students from all classrooms.
Okay. And so it's not just one student that you're supposed to be in, but
Right.
that student is kind of taking up a lot of your attention. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I have an answer for that. That's hard. But like I said, I rely on Abby, our school social worker, who's I'm not sure. Can you step in, or can we set up a meeting, or take it, because I'm not a school counselor, I'm not a social worker, and there's other kids in the classroom that need your attention too. So if that is available, that's where I would go with that, I guess. Unless they're like, if you're in the normal classroom, then I would probably remove the student and ask Abby once again to come, work with that student.
And I think
But-
that's an important distinction. If it's what our training is versus what their training is, and where to ask for assistance and help versus what you are trained for as a teacher, because those are distinct roles.
Yep. Yep. And we have a learning center right down the hall from me that there's, a list of students that if they're having an off day, we have the green light to, Mrs. Coyman wants to see you in the learning center. She has no idea they're coming. But we have that, and then she knows that they're probably having a tricky day, they're struggling, and then it's sounds bad, it's her deal, right? Where then we can get back to our classroom.
So there's resources.
Yeah, I would say so.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Good. Thanks for the question.
All right, hello. My name is Andrew. I'm going to be a high school history teacher. I was just thinking, like, this coming summer, what should I be doing? What should I be thinking about, or like preparing for my first year in the summertime?
It's a great question.
That is
Yeah.
a great question. I have a rule, I don't think about teaching until August 1.
That's fair.
But
Maybe not year one.
I've been doing it a while. But, you just got to balance that, right? Anyways, I think, obviously you need to get to know your school system, right? Ask the administrator a ton of questions. Absolutely. I'd maybe connect with a teacher who's been there a long time. What do I need to know about this place? What is the culture? What is, what are things you wish you would have known when you started here? I think those are really valuable. And then, of course, have that first week, those first 2 weeks, just, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you're going to have to be flexible, as any teacher is. But the more prepared you are, the better things are going to go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And I would say anything that you can learn that is background do so in the summer. So how does lunch schedule work, right? How do I work JMC if my school has JMC? How do I get connected to my email? Like all of those things that can crowd out your mind when you're instructing, get those kind of checked off your list so that you can focus and dial in on school when it is August.
Yeah. And I would say most schools now have some type of mentorship program too, where they'll pair you up with a teacher. Use that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Great question. Thanks,
Perfect.
Andrew.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for coming. This was great. Can we give her
Thank
a
you.
hand? Appreciate it. All right. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Hey, wasn't that great?
That was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Katie is amazing.
I know.
Thanks so much for having her in. I think
Yes.
this is great for our students to get to hear voices like that
I do too.
coming from the field.
I do too. Yep. And it was fun to have them in on the recording, actually.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they got a peek behind the scenes of kind of our friendship and the things that we get to do too.
So we hope that you find it valuable as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Friends, we know your time is valuable. We want to thank you for joining us today for another hallway conversation. Whether it's this day, this week, this month, or this year, we do hope that the Lord gives you what you stand in need of. We want to thank you for the good, God-delighting work that you're doing in your schools and communities. And as you go into this week, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace, give you peace, give you peace. Amen. Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you next time.
Hallway Conversations was originally dreamed up by Matt Beamers and Dave Mulder during one of their actual Hallway Conversations. It's created and produced by Abby DeGroat and Dave Mulder. Our music is by Ethan Mulder. Hallway Conversations is generously supported by the Center for the Advancement of Christian Education at Dordt University. You can find out more about the good work CASE is doing at cace.org. Thanks for listening, friends.
Got the fancy setup going today.
I know.
Yes.
We're going to record our podcast while Katie's going to be our guest, and we're going to
Twofer.
record a little live episode here.
I love it.
Wow. Wait, so do we have to is there a sign that says class?
Yeah. We should. You can make one. It's your job. Go, Joel. Use a whiteboard.
I can grab the puck.
You want to ask questions? Would you guys ask a question? With a microphone? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's too awkward.
They're kind of shy.
Yeah. These guys are not shy. What are you talking about? Future teachers of America.
So shy.
Season's over there.